fans are not having it. This is a failure in marketing, 100%. You guys are going to produce a Indiana Fever all access video package. One coming out a day, one every other day. And you're not going to have a special package for the reason for the season, for the reason why we're all here, to the reason why you went from 4,000 people in 23 to 17,000 average attendance in 2024. You're not going to give that person a dedicated video. Indiana Fever, everywhere you look, they just continue to drop the ball. And I got to give credit where credit is due. Fans are letting them know about it. They're voicing their displeasure. Stephanie White, Indiana Fever, getting absolutely crushed.
Let us be honest about what just happened. The Indiana Fever and coach Stephanie White did not just lose. They were systematically torn apart and exposed by their own superstar, Caitlin Clark herself. Believe me, the fallout currently ripping through this fan base is on a level we have not witnessed this entire season. What we saw was more than a bad game or a few mistakes. I have to give the fans credit here. You have not forgotten. You remember exactly what the Indiana Fever did last year when they misled everyone during the Caitlin Clark injury fiasco of 2025. You have not forgotten. And by the way, we have not even discussed this yet. It just hit me right now. Remember the Angel Reese fiasco where Fever fans and Caitlin Clark supporters were called a bunch of racists? The Indiana Fever never once stepped up to defend their fan base. They did not come out and immediately shut that narrative down. Not a single word. Instead, they released some weak statement about launching an investigation. Typical corporate talk. Blah, blah, blah. They never apologized to the fans. They just jumped right into the narrative without even thinking. They bought the lies fast and in a hurry. You have to understand who is actually running this. The organization is a mess. Radicals are running the show. I am just being real. The people running this team are thick with their own agendas. And look at the Fever on social media. They are still doubling down on the idea that Stephanie White is the grand savior of this entire basketball franchise. Where is 22? You people have no idea. But the fans have not forgotten or forgiven any of this. What happened was a mirror being held directly in the face of an organization that has been making one questionable, terrible, and confusing decision after another for many months. And last night, every single one of those flawed decisions and strategic missteps came crashing down all at once for the whole country to witness. You must understand, critics have been circling this coaching staff and front office for a very long time. But last night, the team performance gave them every piece of ammunition they could ever need to make their case. And then you see this. The Indiana Fever posted this on their official social media pages. Quote, "I take great pride in representing this franchise in a positive way. As training camp ends, our sights are set on the regular season. We look at head coach Stephanie White's journey. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Look, I am trying to keep it clean for you guys, but this is honestly getting ridiculous. Talk about rage bait. You guys did not hold back on this post at all. Not even a little. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Great job. Okay, we are stopping right there. I cannot take any more. Those screams you hear are from the Vanderbilt program she burned to the ground. Venom. My boy Venom, you really need to read the room, man. Seriously, just keep doubling down on this. You guys are acting like a bunch of idiots. Carlos Garcia could not even believe it. We are laughing at you and feeling sick at the same time. Get a professional for your video PR because this is terrible. They are actually choosing a head coach over their fans and star players. Lynn Dunn mentored both sides and White. We are talking about Christie sides. I am so sorry. The entire organization is a mess of nepotism. We will see if White earns the title of star killer this year. Wow. And here is why this moment hits so much harder than just a standard loss on the schedule. This was not some kind of surprise ambush by an elite, championship-level opponent that nobody saw coming. No, this was the kind of deeply flawed performance that had people watching from home genuinely questioning whether this team is making any real forward progress or if it is quietly, slowly falling apart from the inside out. The three people they are marketing this team around are Raven Johnson, the new draft pick, and Kelsey Mitchell, who got her own episode. And in this latest episode, Stephanie White gets the spotlight for herself. The fans are not having it. This is a complete failure in marketing. 100%. You are really producing an Indiana Fever all-access video package? One coming out every day or every other day. And yet, there is no special tribute for the actual reason we are all here. The one who pushed attendance from 4,000 in 2023 to 17,000 fans every night in 2024. You are really not giving that person their own video? Everywhere you look, the Indiana Fever just keep on dropping the ball. I have to hand it to them. The fans are being loud. They are letting the front office hear every bit of their anger. Stephanie White and the Fever are getting absolutely crushed. When your star is the most transcendent, must-watch talent in the entire WNBA, yet the team built for her looks this lost and confused, you have a problem. This totally disorganized and this badly outclassed, there is only one real question that every single fan watching has to be asking themselves right now. Is Stephanie White actually the right coach to unlock everything that Caitlin Clark is truly capable of achieving on the court? Or is this organization, intentionally or not, just standing in the way of its very own generational superstar? Because when you look at how this team actually operates on the floor, with those strange and confusing rotations they keep running, the way their whole game plan just shatters, the second things get physical and competitive, it stops looking like simple development issues or just standard rookie growing pains. It starts looking like a major mismatch between the coach on the sideline and the star player she was supposed to build this entire system around. This is nothing new. Dedicated fans have been shouting about this all offseason, and what happened last night did zero to quiet those increasingly angry and loud voices. So, let us break down why this one performance has the entire fan base questioning everything about the direction of this Indiana franchise, and more importantly, why all that intense frustration is 100% earned. Because you have to realize this conversation goes way deeper than just one rough night on a basketball court. This is not about box scores or one loss in the standings. We are talking about fans who have been paying close attention, doing their homework, and keeping score all season long on every single move this front office makes. These are the people buying the season tickets, who flooded the stores to buy jerseys, and invested everything emotionally into this team because they believe in what Caitlin Clark represents for the future of the sport. And what they got back last night was a performance that felt like a total slap in the face to the fans. It was a night where the Fever ran out of answers on the court, and the front office ran out of excuses. I need you to drop your thoughts in the comments right now, because this is exactly where the discussion starts getting very, very heated. This is precisely the point where the conversation takes a sharp turn into territory that I do not think many people were actually ready for. Because the raw frustration coming from these fans is not just about the game of basketball anymore. It is not just about wins and losses, rebounding numbers, or even those confusing rotation decisions we keep seeing. No. This issue cuts into territory that is way deeper than anything happening out there on the hardwood floor. The hard truth is that the Indiana Fever organization has a massive trust problem with its own fans. And that problem did not just magically appear last night. It definitely did not start at the beginning of this season. It started when this organization had multiple chances to stand up and firmly support the very people who show up to watch them every single night, who pack those arenas to the rafters and make this franchise worth something in the first place. Instead of loyalty, they chose total silence. They chose weak neutrality and the path of least resistance at the exact moment when their supporters deserved something much louder and much clearer. The emotional wounds these fans are carrying were not all inflicted by losses on the court. Some of the deepest wounds were caused by the people running this organization choosing to look away when standing up for their fans was the only acceptable option left on the table. And you know what? I have to give these fans all the credit in the world for their passion and commitment. They have been through a lot, and they have seen this pattern from the organization many times before. To see them still showing up, still being this vocal, and still demanding better is a testament to how much they care about this team and the superstar trying to lead it. Their frustration comes from a place of deep emotional investment. And that raises a question every single person watching this needs to sit with for a moment and really consider. What does it reveal about a sports franchise when the fans who pour their hard-earned money and time, the ones who live and breathe team success and show up, nightly are treated as the very last priority when this front office makes its most critical decisions? Why does it feel like the Indiana Fever leadership is working with a set of goals that completely clash with the fan base that pays the bills? And here is the most painful question of all, the one that everyone is too afraid to ask out loud. If those running this WNBA team have shown they will not stand up for their own loyal supporters or challenge false narratives that make their best customers look bad, then what exactly is the real nature of the relationship between this front office and the people who are filling those arena seats every night? The answer seems to be something this organization is simply not prepared to discuss in public. But the fans already know the truth. Trust isn't built with slick press releases or vague, safe statements drafted by a PR team. That is just corporate noise that nobody believes anymore. Real trust is built through action. It is built through results. It requires deep, genuine accountability. It happens when a team has the guts to look its supporters in the eye and say, without any doubt, that they stand with them through the thick and the thin. The Fever have had plenty of chances lately, countless moments to prove their loyalty, yet they consistently choose to look the other way. Now, they are stuck with the fallout of that behavior. They are staring down a fan base that remembers every snub and every single missed opportunity for support. They forgive nothing, and they are watching every move with the kind of sharp scrutiny that only exists when people feel betrayed by a team they once loved with everything they had inside them. Then, just when you thought the situation had peaked, this organization did something truly unbelievable. At a moment when their supporters were already fuming across every corner of the internet, being loud on social media, and tracking every single move with a magnifying glass, the front office pivoted. The social media team decided the best move was to blast out celebratory content for head coach Stephanie White, acting as if everything was perfectly fine in their world. There was no mention of the massive concerns flooding their comment sections and timelines. There was zero self-awareness or any attempt to actually talk to the people who fund the team. No, it was a total puff piece, painting the coach as an untouchable star of the franchise, completely ignoring the firestorm that was happening right outside their very own front door. And the reaction from the fans who saw it? It was instant and fierce. It was raw, visceral, and totally justified. There is being out of touch, and then there is whatever this display of arrogance was. This was the organization pouring fuel on a massive fire that they had already started, then acting shocked when the whole thing exploded into something much bigger and much more dangerous. But after all that, it got worse. They just kept posting. They doubled down on the praise while the volcano of fan anger was erupting in real time. It was truly a sight to behold. That forced everyone watching this disaster to ask a question that gets right to the very core of the problems within this Indiana franchise. Does this front office have any idea how bad the relationship with their fans has become? Or are they just ignoring the noise? Is there anyone in that building whose actual job is to read the room and see the reality, to feel the heat from the fans, and have the sense to realize this is not the right time for this kind of tone-deaf content? Anyone at all? Because when your community is pushed to its limit, and you respond by shoving the exact thing they hate in their faces, it is no longer an accident. It is no longer an oversight. It looks like a very clear and very deliberate choice. It looks like they are picking a side. So the real question is, who are these decisions actually for? Who is the audience they are trying to reach? Because it clearly is not for the fans. It is not for the people buying jerseys, paying for tickets, or streaming games with loyalty. Those people are being left out in the cold by this management. The answer buried in the comments and the outrage points to a very dark and troubling picture of how this organization is actually being run today. Whenever a front office keeps pushing its own agenda while ignoring the real anger from its fans, it reveals something deep and disturbing about where the real loyalties inside that building actually lie. Teams actually in touch with their supporters feel the room's pulse before they ever hit the post button. They get that trust, especially after being shattered over and over, isn't fixed by flashy promos or some polished corporate PR spin. No, it requires real humility. It demands taking actual accountability. Most of all, it's about making choices that prove to the fans their voices are heard and respected. Right now, the Indiana Fever are doing the complete opposite, and their supporters have officially reached a breaking point. If you thought on-court struggles and those tone-deaf social media posts were the full extent of this team's massive disconnect from its own supporters, you better think twice, because the Indiana Fever just gave their fans one more huge reason to doubt every single thing happening inside that building. And this time, the problem has nothing to do with rebounds or the coach's rotations. It's entirely about how this team markets itself, and specifically who they choose to make the center of their brand. Listen to this. The Fever launched a brand new content series, one clearly meant to hype up the fans and build a deeper connection before the season starts. But when fans saw exactly who was getting the spotlight this time, who was receiving the star treatment and being positioned as the public face of this franchise's promotional push, the fan reaction was absolutely explosive. Because the one person, the player who turned this team from a league afterthought into a national obsession, the reason every single arena is sold out, every new set of eyes, and that massive spike in revenue, was noticeably and completely missing from the very top of that priority list. That reality raises a question that is honestly very difficult to wrap your head around if you are looking at this situation logically from the outside. How in the world does a professional sports marketing department fail to see their own most valuable asset as the obvious centerpiece for their entire content strategy? How do you launch a major promotion designed to hype up your supporters and then go ahead and bury the one player those fans actually showed up to see in the first place? Is this just a total failure of basic strategic thinking? Or does the problem go even deeper? Does it reflect something far more troubling about how this organization views the very player who saved this franchise from irrelevance and her actual role in the story they want to tell? The answer many fans are arriving at is both incredibly simple and very damning. When a sports team keeps choosing to sideline its biggest, most electric star in its promos, while pushing other players' faces ahead of her, it sends a crystal clear message about that franchise's internal priorities. No matter what they say in public, marketing moves like this are never an accident. These video strategies are intentional choices made by experts who should understand their target audience better than anyone else on earth. When those choices keep downplaying the very person who brought the fans through the door, it is no longer a mistake, it looks like a very intentional pattern. The fans following Caitlin Clark did not show up for the Indiana Fever as an organization. They showed up for her. And the fact that the Indiana Fever keep acting as if that isn't the fundamental, unchangeable reality of their current situation is exactly why the trust between the team and its fans keeps eroding day after day. The Indiana Fever are at a critical crossroads, and every single decision they make from here on out will be heavily scrutinized and remembered by the fans. This massive fan base isn't going anywhere because Caitlin Clark herself isn't going anywhere. But patience has its limits, and this team has been testing them relentlessly, almost daring their supporters to finally break. If the front office doesn't wake up to reality soon, if they don't fix this course immediately, and start making choices that actually reflect the monumental moment they're in, they will go down in history as having squandered the greatest gift any struggling franchise has ever been handed. A talent like this is lightning in a bottle. You only get one shot. Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-lifetime force. Better hit that subscribe button right now because, trust me when I tell you, we are only scratching the surface.